24 killed in Kano crash involving sports festival contingent. Niger Flood death toll rises above 170. Katina 6 WAEC English paper cancellation. On the foreign scene, Turkey arrests dozens of opposition members among detainees. Good evening and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. 24 athletes and officials from Katina State have lost their lives in a fatal road crash while returning from the National Sports Festival held in Ogun State. Others sustained varying degrees of injuries and are currently receiving treatment at the Nasarawa Specialist Hospital in Katina State. The report.
At the time of filing this report, 24 people, including sports officials and athletes, have been confirmed dead in the road accident. The contingent was returning from the just concluded National Sports Festival held in Ogun State. The bus, which was one of the 5 buses that conveyed the contingent from Ogun State, reportedly lost control. The tragic incident occurred around 11 a.m. at Yankifi Bridge at Dakasalle in Bebeji local government area, about 50 kilometers away from Kano metropolis. A local farmer and a community guard were among the first to arrive the scene. The vehicle skid off the bridge and we observed it fell completely off the bridge to the floor, and in my presence 15 people died. They had arrived this place from the journey and we suspect the driver must have slept off because of how the bus swerved off the bridge and fell here where people died. The bus was carrying 32 passengers, including athletes, coaches, medical personnel and sports association officials. Residents at the Yankifi area say they are baffled as to the cause of the crash since no other vehicle was involved. This accident occurred without involving any other vehicle, and the bus alone fell off the bridge. We visited the Nasarawa Specialist Hospital in Kano, where some of those who sustained varying degrees of injuries are currently receiving treatment. The state deputy governor, while commiserating with the victims, confirmed the government will support the 7 people in the hospital.
And to the people of the state and to the entire nation, we are going to do everything possible to extend our support and stand with the families of the bereaved.
On their way to Kano, about 40 kilometers away from Kano, they got accident. So nobody can tell how the accident happened because we are not there. And most of the passengers or most of the athletes that are in the bus, they were dead.
Authorities have confirmed the victims have since been laid to rest. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
Earlier, we had Abdulaziz Ibrahim join us live from Kano to give us an update.
Okay, well, it's the contingent of both athletes and officials that attended the National Sports Festival held in Ogun State. And they were on their way back. And we can tell you that out of the 5 buses that came into Kano today, 4 of them had already come into Kano. And the bus which was involved in the accident was the last bus, carrying an estimated 30 people. And from my discussions with the first respondents there when I visited the site, I met some VIO officials still there, and the incident happened at around 11 a.m. But what they said was that for those of them who have market stores on the top side of the road, because the bus actually fell deep within under the bridge. On the top side of the road, the people I spoke to there at the Yankifi area at Dakasalle there, they said the car didn't collide with any other, the bus didn't collide with any other car or any other vehicle, that it skid off the bridge and fell within that area, and that was how the accident happened. So some of them are saying that they are guessing that either there was a fault in the vehicle or the driver must have maybe fallen asleep. Many of them were saying just different things and guessing, but nobody can actually say for now what caused the accident, including the VIO officials and those who are there to inspect the vehicle, the tires and all that.
Away from the vehicle conveying the sports contingent, were there other vehicles involved in this accident?
There was no other vehicle. There was no other vehicle. As those people who own different type of stores on the top side of the road there. There was no other vehicle. Just it was only the bus that was involved in the accident, and there were skid marks on the bridge before it's at the point where it fell and landed. And it was actually a terrible crash anyway.
Oh, yeah, from the pictures and videos, I was saying it's quite a very terrible situation. Have you been able to speak to survivors? Have you been to the hospital to speak to the injured and survivors of this crash?
No, as we speak, we are on our way there because we have just left the Dakatalu area where we were able to interview a number of people. But from the report that we got from the hospital is that we have up to 21 people that are confirmed dead. Earlier at the Kura hospital, later some of them were taken to the Murtala hospital, but the survivors right now are presently receiving treatment for various degrees of injuries at the Nasarawa hospital here in Kano. But for those of them who lost their lives, they have of course been released to their family even at this point, and some of them have been buried. So at the hospital, we can tell you that there's still some of them that are receiving treatment, even though we've not been able to talk to any of them yet.
Okay, just before you go, Abdulaziz, can you give us an exact number of the people that were dead and those that survived? You know, the people, you said 30 people were on the bus. So how many people died?
It's an estimated 30 people.
Okay, estimated.
From the estimated 30 people, I can tell you. But among those who died, we have, because this was the last bus that was coming, it mainly had a number of officials on the bus. So the athletes that were there were only athletes of kickboxing and dambe. I'm sure that they were athletes. The others, we can confirm to you that the secretary of the basketball association here, Bashir Yagaya, was on the bus. And then we have the PRO of the Sports Commission and also a member of the Sports Writers Association in Kano here, Bilal, who is with a local radio station here and also an online platform. He was also part of those who lost their lives. And among the others, we have other sports association secretaries and some medical personnel also who are part of the people on the board.
Okay, thank you.
We can confirm to you that 21 people.
21 people lost their lives. Reactions have been pouring. The Nigerian Golf Federation has sent a message of condolence to the Kano State government, the Kano State Sports Commission, and the entire people of the state over this tragic accident involving the state contingent returning from the National Sports Festival. A statement by the President of the Federation, Urumba Shegun Usewe, says the Golf Federation is devastated by the unfortunate incident that claimed the lives of 20 individuals, including athletes, coaches, and officials who had dedicated themselves to the noble pursuit of representing their state at the just concluded National Sports Festival. Mr. Usewe described the loss as one that will not only be felt by Kano State alone, but to the entire Nigerian sports family. He noted that the contributions of those who perished will not be forgotten, while their commitment to excellence in sports will continue to inspire generations to come. He commiserated with the bereaved families, the injured, and everyone affected by the heartbreaking event, and prayed God to grant the souls of the departed eternal rest and give their loved ones, as well as the entire Kano State community, the strength to bear this great loss. In Niger State, the State Emergency Management Agency, NSEMA, has announced that the death toll from Thursday's devastating flood in Mokwa, the headquarters of Mokwa local government area, has risen to above 170. This follows the recovery of over 50 additional bodies 2 days after the incident. Speaking on Saturday, the Director General of NSEMA, Abdullahi Baba, said 30 people were injured and 3,018 others displaced by the flood. Our further stated that 503 households across 265 houses in 3 communities were affected by the disaster, and the 2 roads and 2 bridges were completely washed away. Trust TV had earlier reported how many residents of Mokwa town were swept away in their sleep on Thursday night after torrential rainfall that lasted for several hours. Abubakar Kote joined us earlier to give us an update on what's happening.
Mokwa being one of the local governments that have been severely hit by flood, The local government doesn't escape it every year. The complaint from the local farmers that they don't receive information from NAMET. Recently, one of the youth leaders raised concern that predictions, information about predictions by NAMET usually pass through mainstream media, especially television, and most of those farmers have no access to those gadgets to receive information. Neither do they have access to other newspapers. Radio remains one of the major source of information to those communities. So the problem, the challenge has been that they hardly get receive such information from the appropriate authority through the right channels. So they have recently complained about that. That information needs to get across, or the NAME should begin to engage community associations to pass information to their people.
Now, we understand that over 3,000 people have been displaced and entire households have been destroyed. Have you been able to speak to these survivors to get first-hand information from them and how they are somehow surviving in the interim?
This evening, some of these survivors are not, some of them have left IDP camps, and NSEMA has also confirmed that to me, that some of them prefer staying with their relatives whose houses were not affected because of the condition of the camp in terms of feeding and the proper accommodation. We are in rainy season now. The mosquitoes and the rest of them, and such support, especially provision of mosquito nets, have not been adequately provided. What donors are focusing on now is food that they will eat and the primary school where some of them are staying.
Okay, now just before we go now, who are the people on ground in aiding this assistance? The federal government, the state government, international agencies?
Right now, officials of Niger State Emergency Management Agency, and there are also NEMA, where they are currently on ground, and some volunteers from community associations, and the rest of them are currently on ground. I would like to also inform us that this evening I learned from Niger State Emergency Management Agency that somewhere far away, some Mokwa, a village called Kanji, about 21 dead bodies were swept to that area, and it has been communicated to SEMA, and they are working to see how they will be buried in that axis, because it will be difficult to move those bodies out of the water to a far place now, because some of them have started decomposing, haven't been in the water for the past 3 days.
Akote, if I understand you correctly, you're saying away from the ones that were found, another 21 is going to be added to the 151, making it 172?
Yes, SEMA just confirmed to me that those villagers reported that 21 dead bodies were found in water close to their village, and they have contacted the community leader, and community leader at the same time contacted SEMA, and SEMA is working to dispatch their officials to that village. But the plan is that they are going to bury them there, because it will not be convenient in moving them back to Mokwa, because some of them have started decomposing.
Meanwhile, the federal government delegation has paid a sympathy visit to the government and people of Niger State over the devastating flood that killed over 170 people and destroyed houses and livelihoods. Receiving the delegation, Governor Muhammad Umaru Bago, who was represented by his deputy, Yakubu Garba, appreciated President Tinubu for sending the delegation to sympathize with the state, especially the people of Mokwa, over the flood disaster. He said efforts have been intensified to ensure that the construction of the stem water drainage in Mokwa and Meshugu council areas commences soon, saying it would go a long way in averting a recurrence, adding that so far the state government has provided 6,000 bags of rice to victims. The governor appreciated the swift response of all relevant agencies that contributed to the search and rescue operations and called on the federal government to provide a temporary camp for the victims, noting that the place they are occupying now is not habitable. Leave that the federal government's delegation and Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris Malagi, extended the condolences of the President and all members of the Federal Executive Council over the disaster he described as one too many. He said the president has directed that all available resources of the federal government be deployed to address the situation, adding that efforts have been made to avert or mitigate the recurring flood disasters in the country, while directing the National Orientation Agency to carry out sensitization campaigns to ensure that people avoid living around riverbanks. In Nasarawa State, the government has directed residents of flood-prone communities to relocate to higher grounds to avoid any loss of lives during the rainy season. Commissioner for Environment and Natural Resources, Margaret Elayo, said this on Saturday in Lafia while addressing newsmen after monitoring the May edition of the monthly cleanup exercise. Elayo said such a step became imperative because of flood predictions by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency as well as previous experiences where lives and property were lost to flooding. She further said since some states have started experiencing flooding, there was an urgent need for vulnerable persons to act now. The commissioner further urged members of the public to desist from dumping refuge in drains and also desist from building structures and waterways to avert flooding. Katina State government on Saturday called for the cancellation of the English language examination recently conducted by the West African Examination Council. The call followed an incident that led to the commencement of the examination several hours behind the scheduled time nationwide on Wednesday. The position of the state was announced in Katina by Hajia Zainab Musawa, the Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, during a visit to the WAEC office in Katina. The news agency of Nigeria, NAN, reports that the position was based on a petition signed by Hajia Umukai Ahmed, the permanent secretary of the ministry. NAN recalls that WAEC blamed the situation on heightened efforts to curb examination malpractice, particularly the leakage of question papers. Musa Busawa also called on schools, parents, and the communities to exercise patience and wait for the outcome of the petition. The Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSON, has directed its members in all federal courts nationwide and other judicial institutions to withdraw their services from June 2nd. The union's National Vice President, North Central, Mustafa Laminu, said this in a statement signed and issued on Friday in Abuja. Laminu said the strike had become imperative to press home its demands as their members were yet to receive the one-month wage award recently paid by the government. According to him, the action is to protest against the non-payment of 5 months arrears of wage award, non-implementation of 60,000 Naira national minimum wage, and the non-implementation of the 25-35% salary increase. Laminu alleged that information at their disposal revealed that the Ministry of Finance had released a new amount to the Accountant General of the Federation, who was refused to pay the Judiciary. He therefore called on all chapters chairmen to ensure compliance to the directive. A former governor of River State and two-time Minister of Transport, Rotimi Amechi, has revealed that he refused to vote for President Bola Tinubu because he was convinced that the president could not lead Nigeria. Amechi, during a public lecture to celebrate his 60th birthday, said, "I met President Tinubu in Yola. I told him I will not work for you and I will not vote for you." The public lecture held in Abuja with the theme, Weaponization of Poverty, had in attendance Emir of Kano, Sule Lamido Sanusi, Professor Wole Soyinka, former governor of Kano State. I beg your pardon, the Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi, former governor of Katina State, Nasir El-Rufai, governor of Bayelsa State, Sereki Dixon, former vice president Atiku Abubakar, Cardinal John Onayekon, several traditional rulers, and several others. Amechi, in his remarks, noted that Nigeria is where it is today because many Nigerians have been voting on a religious and ethnic basis. Amechi further mentioned that he is more concerned about moving the country forward and respecting people with requisite knowledge. He added that an ordinary northerner who is a Muslim has no problem with the ordinary southerner who is a Christian.
I met President Tinubu in Yola, and I told him I will not work and I will not vote for you. I cannot vote for Tinubu. That is, I told him in advance. Why I'm saying this is because people in Rivers have been writing, he didn't work for PDP, he didn't work for APC, he didn't support Tinubu. I told him in advance before the election, so it wasn't a matter of whether I did or not. I made him know that because I was convinced that there was an issue of capacity. You have raised issues here. Most of those who raise the issues of capacity, some of us who are here raising issues of capacity, are also those who vote on ethnic and religious basis, or who spoil innocent, uneducated people who are poor to voting for people for the reasons of religion and ethnicity.
The All Progressives Congress, APC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Plateau State are embroiled in a dispute over alleged plans by Governor Caleb Mutfwang to defect from the PDP to the APC. The APC had claimed the governor was making overtures to join their party, a development the party said it would not accept. However, PDP Southern Zonal Chairman Simon Dumle disputed the APC's claim, affirming that the governor had not expressed any intentions to decamp to the APC.
And then he's trying to hide his shambles by coming back to APC. APC is not where we collect failures. APC is a party where we collect governors that are working. We've collected the governor of Delta that is working very well. That we applaud our party. But when you're a failure, you remain in your party and remain a failure. We want him to remain in his party so as 2027 Plateau people will know how incompetent he is and he will be voted out by Plateau people. APC is not the home of failure. APC is a home of progressive. So we want only progressives in our party.
What is there in APC? APC is not a political party that one should be eager or struggling to join. Because APC is the most difficult and most terrible political party that's brought a lot of hardship, hunger, insecurity, everything that one can think of. And Governor Mutfwang being a very stable human being, a very sincere governor. There is nothing in APC that Governor Mutfwang will beg to join that such political party.
Still in Plateau State, residents of the capital, Jos, have urged Governor Caleb Mutfwang to enhance security measures in the state to guarantee the security of lives and property of residents. While acknowledging the governor's efforts in some areas, the residents emphasized the need for improvement in other sectors. Adu Musa completes the report.
During his inauguration in 2023, Governor Mutfwang promised to focus on developmental reforms in the state to ensure that residents feel the impact of democratic dividends. As his administration completes 2 years, some residents have shared their assessments and reflections on his tenure so far.
Yes, initially the administration of Caleb Mutfwang was a little bit slow, but coming to this year, 2025, there are a lot of ongoing projects in almost all spheres of human existence. Go to the water sector, go to environmental sector, go to agriculture, then go to the Ministry of Works. You can see roads are ongoing.
So far, so good. Governance is something that is not new, but something that is always very difficult. Whenever a particular administration comes into power, it becomes very difficult to settle. I will say Governor Mutfwang has tried. We have seen it as civil servants. Farmers have enjoyed. Since he came on board, he has tried in agriculture.
And so far, so good. To the glory of God, we've seen his handwork, especially the metropolitan buses, the roads, and the peacekeeping in Plateau State.
Naman Johnson, a prominent APC stalwart in the state, shared his assessment of Governor Mutfwang's first 2 years in office.
I will say that we've never had it this bad on the Plateau. We've wasted 2 years on the Plateau with no project, with no empowerment, and we've had 2 years of political vendetta and vendetta alone. He keeps traveling from here to there every day with no impact. And if you will see any project on the Plateau, it must either come from World Bank or personal intervention. The state government from their side are not doing anything on the Plateau.
The residents urged Governor Mutfwang to improve security and other aspects of governance in the state.
The education is key. There's no nation or no society that progresses without education being given a priority. So if you want to destroy society, you destroy education. So now I want the Governor Mutfwang administration to concentrate on education.
We are calling on the government to put in more into the security architecture, trying to, create synergy and work side by side with the security in the state.
Issue of insecurities. I seriously want to emphasize on it because I believe there must be an insider that is always bringing all these perpetrators. Anybody that is caught, he should not believe. He should not believe. Nobody should leave. He should face his judgment immediately.
As the governor marks his second anniversary, many are looking forward to seeing more infrastructural development and other projects across the state. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
A shadow government or cabinet in a democracy like the United Kingdom, which operates a parliamentary system, consists of opposition elements who mirror the role of cabinet members and offer alternative policy options. In Nigeria, however, the concept has generated controversy at national and subnational levels, sparking a sharp division among the political divide. Ahmed Dati sent this report is presented in our studios.
Opinions were sharply divided in Kano in February this year when the opposition APC unveiled plans to form a shadow cabinet to checkmate the NNPP-led administration. Events took a dramatic twist in May when the Department of State Services DSS threatened to arrest a former ADC presidential candidate, Professor Pat Utomi, over alleged shadow government plans against the ruling APC. A public affairs commentator, Abdullah Yusuf, said, though not legally recognizable, the shadow government conforms with democratic norms.
Although we are in a democracy, we are operating a presidential system of government that does not allow or does not guarantee the formation of a shadow government. But democracy being what it is, when I saw the calls, when I read about them, I said, yes, at least we are getting somewhere. Probably it could be kind of a preparation or a panacea or a platform for agitation for a parliamentary system of government.
A Kano-based legal practitioner, Maruf Yakase, says no legal provision is made for the shadow government.
Nigeria is operated through the constitution. Therefore, the issue of shadow government is an illegality. In fact, it is akin to treason. It's a treasonable offense because it's like a coup against the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And all those found involved should face the full wrath of the law so that such action should not be reported by anybody.
The civil society activist Isiaku Ahmed also believes that opposition political parties are the only viable alternative platforms in the country.
What would put government in check is not a shadow government. It's a strong opposition. The opposition that has an ideology, that has a framework, that has a blueprint for a country or for a particular people or for a cause that is pushing. For instance, if you look in the UK, we have the Labour Party, we have the Conservatives. These are political parties, or if you like, in the United States of America. You either belong to one, and wherever you are, we know what the ideologies you stand for. We know your principles. But here, what is the principle of your friend in APC, or my brother in PDP, or his brother in LP? We only know they are political parties.
Many argued that freedom of association and expression guaranteed by the Constitution gives legitimacy to alternative views in whatever form. Ahmad Datti, Trust TV News, Kano.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has sued the former Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele for allegedly stealing and unlawfully acquiring 753 housing units located at Plot 109 Cadastral Zone CO9, Local Government District, Abuja. In the 8 new counts filed at the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, the anti-graft agency accused Emefiele of also holding possession of billions of naira in proxy accounts while serving as the Central Bank of Nigeria's governor. The commission stated that Emefiele allegedly conspired with Eric Ocheme, who is reportedly on the run, to acquire the properties in August of 2021. The FCC had earlier obtained a court order to seize the entire estate and handed it over to the federal government last week. However, Emefiele approached the Court of Appeal in Abuja, praying that it set aside the judgment granting the government full control of the estate in Abuja, comprising 753 housing units. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says plans have been concluded to introduce reforms in the FC transportation sector to improve safety and comfort. Wike said this in Abuja after he inspected the completed Kubo and Mabushi bus and taxi terminals in preparation for inauguration to celebrate President Bola Tinubu's second year in office. The minister also inspected the completed access road to Giri district, which is also ready for inauguration.
Obviously, a lot of things will happen in the transport sector. There are a lot of reforms. In fact, the committee is working before we get to even commission. It will come up with our transport sector reforms because we have said as part of security measures, we must know who are those who are involved in doing their taxi business and what color, so that if anything happens, we'll be able to identify. So just be assured that we are doing everything possible. We will do it, and this time around we are working on to see that we don't have a lot of parks on the road. And that's why you see when I told the contractor what it should be here is bus and taxi terminal, not just only bus terminal. So those who they take to the bus terminals will board the taxis from there and go to wherever they want to go.
This is News Hour on Trust TV. Still to come. Stakeholders examine role impact of councillors' third year of local government administration. More when we return. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. A recap of our top stories. We told you that 24 killed in Kano crash involving sports festival contingent. We also told you that Niger Flood death toll rises above 170. To more stories, the Federal Capital Territory Water Board has announced that there will be disruption to water supply in the nation's capital in the next 2 weeks. The board in a statement alerted its customers within and outside the city centre that due to the ongoing rehabilitation works of the water treatment plant at Lower Usoma Dam, there would be disruption of water supply to both city centre and the outskirts. The board said the rehabilitation work would pave way for the connection of the electromechanical equipment of its treatment plant, which is a major component of the rehabilitation work. Disruption, according to the board, started on Friday, May 30, and would run till Friday, June 13. In view of this development, the FCT Water Board has appealed to residents, particularly its customers, to kindly store water that may last them for this period, including an alternative supply to augment their need. Operatives from the Federal Capital Territory Police Command on Saturday foiled a child trafficking attempt and arrested 4 suspects, including the general overseer of a church. The arrest followed the distress call received around 2 a.m. from officials of Wazobia Motor Park, Gwagwalada, who reported a man exhibiting suspicious behavior while attempting to travel with a young child. The police, in a statement by the command spokesperson, Josephine Ade, said the police emergency response team swiftly responded and apprehended one Israel Aja as he attempted to board a vehicle bound for Benue State with a 7-year-old boy in his custody. Ade said preliminary investigations revealed that the child had been handed over to Israel by his elder brother, Reverend Pastor Prince Bassi Aja, General Overseer of the Wells of Salvation Church located in Baizin area of the FCT. She said Aja was arrested alongside 2 accomplices identified as Nancy Atto and Deaconess Vera Dulu. They added that a subsequent search of Nancy Atto's residence led to the rescue of another victim, a 4-year-old girl known only as Mercy, a name given to her by the suspects. Nigerian commercial airline Airpeace has successfully concluded the first phase of its 2025 Hajj operations in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Speaking to journalists, Airpeace's Director of Flight Operations, Captain Augustine Kamanu, said Phase 1 airlift was concluded on May 24, 2025, with a total of 16 flights conducted and 5,040 pilgrims airlifted. Airpeace operated Hajj flights from different locations for 15 states and the armed forces, according to Captain Kamanu. The operations began on May 9, 2024, with the airline operating the inaugural Hajj flight from Owerri Airport in Imo State. He expressed satisfaction with the seamless coordination and thanked all stakeholders for their cooperation. Residents of Benue State capital Maiduguri have expressed divergent views on the impact of President Tinubu's policies and programs in the state in the last 2 years. Specifically, they collectively want the present administration to be more proactive in the fight against terrorism and improve agriculture to enable rural farmers go back to their farms. In this report, Trust TV's Beatrice Kurisi tells us more.
In the last 2 years, the Tinubu administration has executed several projects across states in all geopolitical zones of the country. In Benue State, the government supported flood victims of the 2024 September disaster, provided agricultural inputs, food palliatives, undertook roads construction, rehabilitation of health and educational institutions, as well as the Alo Dam reconstruction project. Some Maiduguri residents shared their thoughts on the first 2 years of the Tinubu-led government.
Today, currently we have the Damaturu Maiduguri Road being expanded. Dikwa Gamborungala Road. It has been awarded to Dangote, even though the work is still a shadow of itself. The federal government approved the sum of 80 billion naira for the complete rehabilitation, for the complete reconstruction of the Alo Dam.
He has come to the rescue of the flood victims, given out the contract of over 80 billion by the presidency to the Alo Dam project.
This our governor is so far, he is going to local government by local government. They are attacking him, We are seeing anything. You understand me? So we don't have any achievement in these 2 years of Tinubu government.
Seriously, Ganina, Bansan Abunda, Tinubu Yemana Chimbono ba.
For me, he hasn't done anything in Borno, especially in the area of tackling insurgency, because farmers are still finding it difficult to access their farms, and this has caused so much hardship. They want the federal government to address security challenges in the northeast region, among others.
A proactive approach to insecurity. That's all is needed. We are now going towards rainy season. The most predominant business of our people is farming. The president should give more support to His Excellency so that our farmers this rainy season will have an access to their farmlands.
With 2 years left for Tinubu's administration, Borno residents are waiting to see if their expectations will be met. Beatrice Kurisi, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
In Nigeria's local government system, councillors serve as elected representatives that play a vital role in the legislative arm. Their duties include lawmaking, executive oversight, and ensuring transparency and good governance at the grassroots level. However, their effectiveness is often constrained by limited autonomy, inadequate funding, and political interference, factors that have led to their contributions being underrated and often overlooked. In this report, Neil Sampson explores the crucial roles of councillors, gathering insights from elected officials, political scientists, and analysts.
In Nigeria, local government councillors are tasked with presenting their wards, bridging the gap between communities and the council, and actively participating in local policy making. They are also responsible for ensuring that councils carry out their statutory duties while adhering to the National Code of Conduct for councillors. These roles underscore their significance within the governance structure.
In every election, grassroots players are the most important. Whoever you are, from wherever you come, you must go down to the grassroots level. So we are the leaders as grassroots. The masses, traditional rulers, community heads, and followers have confidence in us. We are the one that like a source of their whatever the development information to them.
They are the grassroots politicians. They are the ones that will just go indoor, house to house campaign or politics. They are the closest politician to the people.
The local government is supposed to be the grassroots level of government, which is the most important in terms of development. But the reality of today is that the local government legislative council in most of our local governments is actually redundant. Most of them are not effective. In fact, almost all of them are not effective.
Basically, I mean, local government councillors ideally are supposed to be the closest elected officers to the people because they are chosen from the ward level.
Insufficient or poorly managed financial resources have over time hindered the ability of councillors to function effectively. A lack of funds enough to prevent councils from executing vital services, projects, and community programs. Hence, many believe the recent autonomy granted local government will address the anomaly and engender greater efficiency.
But I think finance is very instrumental to anything at all we're looking at, any form of development we're looking at. And as relates to the performance of the Legislative Council also, because that's where they can get their finances for capacity building and all of those. But most importantly, we need to look at the quality of the individuals we are electing to those people.
You can't talk about local effectiveness of the councillors, the local government system, without first talking about the issue of corruption. Because, you know, like I said, whatever is hampering their effectiveness at the moment, even if you give them autonomy, it's still going to be their hampering effectiveness.
The federal government would assign every chairman to open an account directly to the CBN, from CBN. So if you see that, by the grace of God, by next year, January, everything will be all right.
With financial autonomy at the local government level, stakeholders say the third tier of government is now better empowered to deliver democratic dividends to the local populace. Noel Samson, Trust TV News.
The Imo State government has confirmed the outbreak of diphtheria in the state. It disclosed that several suspected cases had been identified in the Mbutu community in Abombise local council of the state. Consequently, the state government has offered to treat the patients free of charge. Reports say no fewer than 6 school children were found dead a few days ago as a result of the suspected ailment. Schools around the vicinity have been shut. The State Commissioner for Health, Chioma Ego, in a statement said the ministry has activated the rapid containment response mechanism to stop the spread to the other 26 local councils in the state. It was assured that the measures were in collaboration with development partners, but said it's under control and seeking the collaboration of people to contain the outbreak. We'll be on a short break. When we return, business, sports, foreign, to stay with us. Welcome back. Now, President Buhari has issued a new executive order to lower project costs, attract more investors, and enhance revenues from operations in the oil sector. The document, which was made public by the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Energy, Olu, said the move is to further strengthen Nigeria's global competitiveness and attract greater investment into the sector. The Upstream Petroleum Operations Cost Efficiency Incentives Order 2025 introduces a new performance-driven framework that links tax incentives to verifiable cost savings benchmarks operations by terrain and protects public revenues while rewarding operational efficiency. President Tinubu has directed the Special Advisor on Energy to coordinate interagency efforts to ensure alignment and implementation across all relevant institutions. On a foreign scene, Turkish authorities have ordered the arrest of dozens of people facing corruption allegations, including opposition party members in Istanbul and the city of Adana. The Istanbul Chief Public Prosecutor's Office issued detention orders for 47 people and detained 30. Others detained included local municipal mayors and Istanbul officials. The operation is the 5th wave of arrests against the government's political opponents, starting with the jailing of Istanbul's Mayor Ekrem Imamoglu, regarded as President Tayyip Erdogan's main rival in March. Turkey's government has rejected claims of political interference, insisting the judiciary is independent. Imamoglu sent a letter from prison to an opposition rally on Saturday saying, "It is time to say, enough is enough to this unjust and unlawful order." Liverpool has signed Jeremy Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen. The English Premier League champions announced on Friday no fee or length of contract was disclosed, but British media reports said Frimpong had arrived at Anfield on a 5-year deal worth €25 million, £29.5 million. News of Frimpong's signing came just hours after Liverpool confirmed Trent Alexander-Arnold would be joining Real Madrid in time to play in the Club World Cup. Frimpong appears to be a ready-made replacement for England fullback Alexander-Arnold, with Liverpool activating the 24-year-old Dutch international's release clause. He was a key figure as Leverkusen won their first Bundesliga title in the 2023-2024 season and made 53 appearances in all competitions as they finished second this season. Frimpong, however, will have competition at right back from Northern Ireland defender Conor Bradley, who recently signed a new 4-year contract with Liverpool. Selling Sports' Piero Gasparini on Saturday confirmed that he will leave Atalanta after 9 hugely successful years ahead of an expected move to rivals Roma. 67-year-old Gasparini departs after turning the Bergamo club to one of Italy's best teams and even Europa League winners last year. Atalanta finished third in Serie A this past season and secured Champions League football with 2 matches left to play after falling short with an ambitious bid for the club's first league title. Gasparini is set to join Roma on a 3-year contract with a net salary of €5 million a season as a capital club tries to re-establish themselves in the Serie A top 4. Roma last qualified for the Champions League in 2017 and missed out in the sport in Europe's top club competition on the final day of the campaign last weekend. After a surge up the table on the local hero Claudio Ranieri, Ranieri came out of retirement in November to save Roma from sliding into the relegation positions and guided them to 5th and a place in the Europa League. Back here in Nigeria, Ayimba Football Club of Aba have confirmed that players of the People's Elephant have been granted an end-of-season break with 10 June set as the resumption date. The sporting director of the 9-time NPFL title winners, Ifeanyi Ekweme, said the players will regroup in 2 batches, with the first batch hitting camp on 10th of June, the second batch a week later, 17th of June. This comes as the ex-Bologna Warsaw Poland midfielder also disclosed that the second edition of the annual Nwankwo Kanu Under-19 tournament will kick off next week with 12 teams taking part. He further disclosed that the second edition of the annual Nwankwo Kanu Under-19 football tournament for Imo and Anambra states will get underway next week. They will finish the 2024-25 campaign in 6th position with 55 points. Team Delta has emerged the overall winner of the 22nd edition of the National Sports Festival tagged Gateway Games 2024, hosted by Ogun State. The announcement was made during the closing ceremony held at the Moshood Abiola Stadium Arena in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Here's more in this report.
The grand finale had in attendance the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, the Chairman of the National Sports Commission, former governors, traditional rulers, captains of industries, and other distinguished personalities. Sports enthusiasts from across the country also graced the occasion. Some of the guests in their remarks described the festival as a key driver of national unity, social cohesion, and economic development. The 2-week-long event was a vibrant showcase of sporting excellence, with competitions held across multiple disciplines. It featured the nation's finest and most promising athletes. As the games drew to a close, a colorful parade marked the final moments of the festival. Chairman of the National Sports Festival Main Organizing Committee, Shehu Dikko, praised the Ogun State government for successfully hosting what he described as a remarkable event. He noted that the festival had once again echoed the themes of unity, cohesion, and economic development.
The past 2 weeks have been a showcase of our national talent, diversity, unity. Athletes from every corner of this great country have competed with passion, dignity, and respect, not just for their state of origin, but for any state of their choice, thereby deepening our collective coexistence and togetherness and one people and one destiny. They have not only broken records, they have broken barriers and built bridges across communities.
Governor Dapo Abiodun, visibly delighted, expressed gratitude to President Bola Tinubu for his unwavering support. He also commended the athletes, officials, and administrators for their discipline, sportsmanship, and commitment to a united national vision.
Like they say, it takes a village. In our case, it has taken an entire state, united in purpose, to deliver an experience that our nation will not forget in a hurry. To our athletes, our valiant young men and women, the shining stars of this festival, whether you depart with medals hanging from your necks, or you simply, with the pride of your participation, you are all champions.
President Bola Tinubu, who was represented by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, congratulated the Ogun State government for hosting a successful tournament. He called for increased investment in sports and advocated for the integration of sports into the national school curriculum to harness the talents of Nigerian youth for national development.
Let us ensure that every school in Nigeria, from primary school to the university, integrate sports into their curriculum. With facilities and structured programs, let us offer athletes scholarships because of their outstanding talent. Let them build the talent. Just as is done in other climes in the world. Let our corporate institutions invest in sports, invest in clubs, invest in leagues, invest in building academies.
In a fitting conclusion to the games, Team Delta was officially declared the overall winner. The championship trophy was presented to the team, while Enugu State received the festival flag, signaling its role as host for the 23rd edition in 2025.
And it's a big one for France tonight as PSG has won their first ever Champions League title, winning 5-0 against Inter Milan. Congratulations to them. And that concludes News Hour tonight on Trust TV. For more of our news, programs and documentaries, do follow us on our social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good night.